Just 3 days away from losing it all, an inspiring waitress discovered a hidden talent that transformed her life. Melissa looked down at the eviction notice crumpled in her hand, the paper weighing heavy like a stone in her chest. 3 days. Just 3 days until her kids and her father would be out on the street. Her mind raced with worry, tears stinging her eyes as the luminous neon sign of the diner buzzed like a distant reminder of everything she had been fighting for. Every day she worked at the Heartland Diner, she poured her soul into serving the regulars, filling their coffee cups, serving up their comfort food, welding a warm community around her. But nothing could shield her family from this economic storm. "Hey, Melissa! Coffee?" called Tom, a local truck driver, breaking her trance. She smiled, putting on her best face even as the walls of her fragile world threatened to close in. She relished these moments, coaxing sweetness out of the bitterness, but soon enough, she felt the weight of her struggles swell once more. Then it happened, a soul stirred within her. One early morning, while placing a plate of pancakes before a newcomer, an art critic named Victor stared at her apron as though it held a hidden treasure. "Did you ever paint?" he asked, his eyes alight with curiosity. She chuckled softly, brushing the thought aside like crumbs from her table. "Just a doodler, nothing serious." But Victor's reaction, a flicker of understanding, as if he could see beneath her surface persona, broke something within her. For years she had buried her love for painting, her dreams smothered by her relentless responsibilities. This exchanged glance planted a seed of hope. Could she still breathe life into those old canvases trapped in her memory? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as she walked out from work that night, the wave of reality crashed down. The eviction notice wavered in her mind as old family disputes ignited, whispering of missed opportunities and disappointments. Could she turn back? What if painting caused her loved ones to turn against her, thinking she was abandoning all their sacrifices? The annual local fair grew closer, a festival of light, laughter, and community spirit. Melissa felt a strange pull, a twinge of courage to showcase her paintings. With each brush stroke, she surrendered her doubts. Still, she wrestled with the fear of exposing her heart to a town that had once loved her yet could easily judge. That night, tension simmered over dinner, an unsaid word lingering heavy in the air. Could she bear to unravel the complexities of her family's expectations, to embrace a talent that felt like breathing? As she prepped for the fair, doubts nagged her, a tempest swirling inside her. Would her art bring everyone together or tear them apart? And as fair day approached, she found herself caught in a web of emotions: fear, excitement, and a flicker of hope. All she had to do was unveil her heart to the community. And just when she needed a friend the most, the art critic appeared again, pushing her to the edge of everything she thought her life could be. Would this pivotal moment change the course of her destiny, or would it reveal all that she feared? The truth remained just out of reach, leaving her on the brink of discovery. The day of the fair dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling its golden light across the small town like a warm embrace. Melissa could hear the distant laughter, the hubbub of families, and the hum of music floating on the air. Her heart thudded in her chest, a mix of excitement and dread as she gathered her paintings. Each canvas, splashed with color and dreams, felt like a piece of her soul now resting in her arms. In front of her old house, she placed the canvases in her car, trying to steady her trembling hands. Her kids rushed around, their innocent chatter a stark but comforting contrast to her racing thoughts. For them, the fair was a joyful escape. For Melissa, it was the edge of a vital turning point. Would her paintings receive the praise that had eluded her for so long, or would they be met with judgment? As she arrived at the fairgrounds, the sight was overwhelming. Booths lined the path, each adorned with bright banners and bustling with people. Colorful flowers decorated the entrance, and children giggled nearby, their faces painted like the superheroes they admired. She felt small amongst the vibrancy, mismatched like an old book in a library full of new releases. Victor caught her eye across the fair, his presence like a beacon. He approached, his charming smile steadying her racing heart. "Are you ready?" he asked, and the sincerity in his voice pushed her fears back, if only for a moment. "Ready enough," she replied, though she wasn't so sure. She could hear soft whispers among the crowd. Curious eyes began to search for her, wondering if the waitress they'd known for years could truly possess the spirit of an artist. Tension curled in her stomach as she set up her display. With every brushstroke remembered, every doubt rekindled, her canvases formed a tapestry of her journey, the struggle, the love, the dreams abandoned and now rediscovered. She flinched at the thought of her family, their expectations hanging over her like a shadow. Would they celebrate her or dismiss her as foolish? Her first customer approached, a girl no older than her youngest, eyes wide with wonder. "You painted these?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe. It was a simple question, but behind it lay worlds of hope. "Yes," Melissa said, her throat feeling tight. "I did." As the day unfolded, small conversations grew into bursts of laughter and shared stories. More and more people stopped by her booth, intrigued by her art and the emotional tales that danced behind each piece. Excitement bubbled in her chest, she felt lighter with each connection. But a lingering doubt remained in her mind, gnawing at her. What would her family think? Would they see her as brave, or as someone lost to whimsy? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden rays across the fair, a familiar figure appeared. Her father stood at the edge of the crowd, uncertainty etched in his face. He was searching for her, and she felt the weight of their past pressing hard against her. Could this moment of truth bridge the gap between her art and her family? Would he understand, or would it pull them further apart? As he walked slowly toward her, her heart raced with anticipation. What would he say? Would he accept the artist she was becoming, or would he turn away? The answer was about to unfold in a way she never saw coming. Melissa's breath caught as her father approached, his posture stiff, hands shoved deep into his pockets. Memories flooded her mind, his disapproving glances when she once dreamed of being an artist instead of sticking to the security of a job in the diner. The years of silence on that subject loomed large. Here he was, finally showing up, and yet, the thought of his potential dismissal stung. "Dad," she whispered, her voice barely carrying over the laughter and excitement swirling around them. "Melissa," he replied, his voice gruff but somehow softened by the atmosphere. He stopped in front of her booth, his gaze flickering over the canvases, taking them in one at a time. Each painting told a piece of her story, but each also felt like a question she had longed to ask him. "Do you see me now?" "Wow! You painted these?" The look of tentative pride started to shine through his uncertainty. "Yes," she found herself saying more confidently now, feeling a warm surge of determination. "I did." Her father stepped closer, picking up a vibrant canvas depicting a sunset over the lake near their old family home. This is beautiful." His thumb traced a stroke of orange paint. Melissa felt the knot in her stomach loosen. "I painted it from memory. Remember those summers by the water?" His eyes softened, and she hoped that shared connection might crack the armor he had built over the years. "I remember," he said slowly, his voice thick with nostalgia. "You always loved that place. It's what inspired me to start painting again. I guess I just kind of lost my way for a while." The admission felt like a weight had been lifted. A flicker of emotion passed over his face. She couldn't quite grasp what it was. Regret? Longing? She wanted to push further, to reach for the father behind the relic of the man who had once been so disapproving. "You've done a lot with this," he finally stated, glancing back at the collection. "You should be proud." "Thank you." The words tumbled from her lips, followed by a rush of gratitude. "I wanted to share this part of me, to show everyone that I'm more than just a waitress." "I see that now," he nodded, absorbing her words. "But I worry?" she echoed. "Worry about what?" "I worry about you chasing dreams that don't pay the bills. I just want you to be safe." The words hung heavily in the air. Melissa swallowed hard. But this is me, Dad. This is what I want. As they stood in that electric moment, a nearby family laughed, a child's pure joy contrasting with their tense exchange. This was no mere art fair, it was a reckoning. Maybe it was about more than art, it was about her very identity. Well, maybe it's time for me to learn how to support you. His voice trailed off, as if both realizing and fearing the implications of his new stance. Suddenly, a voice from the crowd called her name, pulling her attention. It was Victor, waving enthusiastically. Hey, Melissa! They want to feature your work on the main stage. The blood rushed in her ears. Feature? Main stage? Her heart raced again. This could really mean something. But she turned back to her father, searching his expression for a sign of support, for a hint of acceptance. Would he follow her this time? Would this seed of promise bloom into something more? Before she could hold her breath any longer, he simply nodded. Why don't you go? I'll be right here. Melissa felt a surge of hope bullet through her. Could it be that this was the start of something new? Something that could heal the rifts between them? As she turned to go, her heart full yet anxious, one looming thought sweetened the air around her. Would the crowd embrace her as she stepped into the spotlight, or would old shadows loom large, cutting her down before she could even begin? With that weight of uncertainty pressing against her, Melissa took her first step toward the stage, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Would this moment change everything? Melissa climbed the stairs to the stage, each step pinging in her chest. Bright lights flooded the space, blinding and warm. She could see silhouettes of faces before her, some familiar, some strangers. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, and her heart raced with the pressing weight of their expectation. As she stepped into the spotlight, she took a deep breath. A rush of color and energy filled her, pushing away the doubts that had lingered in her mind. Victor stood off to the side, grinning wide, nodding his head encouragingly. Somehow, seeing him there grounded her, a reminder that she wasn't in this alone. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice rang out, strong yet cheerful, we have a special treat for you. Please welcome Melissa Hawkins. The applause crashed over her, a wave of sound that made her pulse quicken and her stomach twist. Melissa felt that same knot of anxiety return, but instead of retreating, she drew on it. She reached for the mic, fingers trembling yet determined. Thank you, she started, her voice surprisingly steady. I'm so excited to share my work with you today. These paintings reflect a part of who I am, a part I've been afraid to show. But here I am, and I hope they speak to you. Small gasps echoed through the crowd at her honesty. She looked to the front row and locked eyes with her father. His expression was unreadable, but she thought she saw something hinting at pride there, perhaps even love. That thought steadied her. Each piece, she explained, was a story, a feeling, a memory. From the nostalgic sunsets to the bustling cityscapes where she had imagined brighter futures, Melissa poured herself out, weaving a narrative more profound than mere paint on canvas. As she stood there, sharing her journey, she could see fragments of recognition on the faces in the audience. They were connecting, feeling her vulnerability. She saw one woman wipe away a tear, another nodding along with a soft smile. Engaging them ignited something in her, a pulse of validation that hinted at acceptance, at home. When she finished, the applause stormed again. Heart racing, she soaked it in. Standing there, she was not just somebody's daughter, she was her own person. She had declared her truth, and it felt like freedom. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she spotted Victor. He was mouthing something at her, waving his arms slightly. Frowning, she faced him. What was he trying to say? Suddenly, the announcer stepped back up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise. Melissa's work has caught the attention of a local art gallery, and they're interested in hosting her first exhibit. The roar of the crowd became deafening. Her pulse quickened, disbelief rushing through her. Could it really be true? Just as she was about to breathe in the surprise, she caught her father's gaze once more. Instead of pride, she saw worry etched on his face. The joyful noise around her faded as she registered the conflict in his eyes. Concern was thick and heavy like a fog. Are you okay? She whispered, her heart aching at his charged expression. Melissa, he said, stepping forward, his voice low but urgent, this could change everything. Are you sure you're ready for this? The crowd clamored, but she felt isolated, standing there with her father's doubts resurfacing, like old ghosts. The moment pulsed between them. Her opportunity was on the horizon, but so were the questions that had plagued their relationship all along. Dad, I can't go back. I need to move forward, she implored, her voice barely breaking through the waves of excitement surrounding them. As she stood there, the weight of her father's worry settling on her shoulders, she wondered if she would find the courage to leap into the unknown. Would his doubts gnaw at her, or would she defy the shadows and welcome what lay ahead? With the cheers of the crowd echoing in her ears, she took a deep breath. Would this be the moment she embraced everything she had wanted, or would old fears pull her back into the darkness? The stage felt like a precipice, and she could see the future unfolding beneath her. What would she embrace next? The applause faded, leaving a trembling silence filled with possibility. Melissa looked into her father's eyes, those familiar pools of worry that had echoed through her upbringing. Suddenly, the lyrics of her life felt out of tune, like a song that started strong but faltered halfway. Are you sure it's what you want? Her father pressed, his voice tight. Each word hung heavily in the air. The excitement around her felt distant now, almost surreal. A knot twisted in her stomach. Hadn't she just bared her soul? Wasn't this moment supposed to bring clarity and joy? Somehow, his words sank deep, stirring doubts she thought she had conquered. She bit her lip, her mind racing. I do, Dad. I want this. Melissa tried to remain firm, but uncertainty warred with her resolve. What if she wasn't ready? What if all her fears were justified? The crowd began to murmur, the excitement shifting, possibly sensing the tension. Victor's expression had shifted too. Concern flickered across his face as he stepped closer. Maybe, he began, maybe we should talk about this later? No! The word burst from her before she could think. The heat of frustration flared in her chest. This is my moment. I can't let fear dictate my future. She could feel the crowd's attention return to her. It was a spotlight she had longed for, yet suddenly felt unbearably bright. They were all watching her now, their eager faces mirroring her own swirling emotions. Would she really step forward or step back? Her father inhaled deeply, the tension in his face softening just a fraction. Then show us. Show everyone what you're made of, he said, his voice wavering between caution and encouragement. The shift was subtle, but it filled Melissa's heart with a spark of hope. Taking a steadying breath, she lifted her chin, her heart racing with renewed purpose. You're right. I'll show everyone. The crowd cheered, and with every clap, her confidence started to unfurl. She turned back to the audience. Art has always been a part of my life, she said, her voice gaining strength. It's not just paint and canvas, it's how I process the world. If this exhibit is going to happen, it's not just for me, it's for anyone who has ever felt unheard. As she spoke, the rhythm of her words felt like brushstrokes, crafting her confidence one layer at a time. The crowd swayed with her, nodding as though they understood her journey, her struggles. She was both vulnerable and fierce, an electric combination. Suddenly, amidst the chaos of the moment, she glimpsed her father again. This time, something shifted in his eyes, acceptance mixed with a sliver of pride. For the first time, the worry seemed to lift slightly, alongside a deep breath he hadn't known he was holding. Victor's smile looked genuine now, pride radiating from him as well. That's it, Mel. You're killing it, he shouted, his encouragement sparking a fire within her. She ended her speech, her heart soaring, ready to embrace that uncertain future she had feared. The crowd erupted once more, this time in a wave of unified support. The emotions swirled into something beautiful, a collective heartbeat resonating in the room. Yet, as the applause enveloped her, reality nudged at her mind. What next? Lingered in the air unanswered. A gallery showcasing her art was just the beginning, but the doubts of her father and the shadows of her past still loomed over her like dark clouds threatening to rain. As she stepped off the stage, exhilarated but apprehensive, Melissa couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the start of something much more profound and perhaps more complicated. What path would she carve out next? Would she find the courage to face the lingering voices of doubt, or would she crumble under their weight? Melissa stepped off the stage, her pulse still racing. The applause echoed in her ears, but as she moved further away from the spotlight, a flicker of anxiety began to creep in. What would she face next? The exhilaration of the moment was delicate, like a fine glass sculpture that could shatter with a careless touch. Victor approached, a wide grin plastered on his face. "You were amazing, Melissa! The way you connected with the crowd, it was electric." His eyes sparkled with excitement as he placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Thanks, but it feels like I just jumped off a cliff without a parachute," she admitted, anxiety threading through her words. She glanced back at her father, still in the shadows, his expression unreadable. "Can you blame him?" Victor said gently, following her gaze. "This is a big leap for someone so used to living in the background. But look at you now!" She felt a small smile forming, yet the weight of her father's doubt hung heavily. "What if the gallery is a flop? What if my art isn't good enough?" "Hold on," Victor interrupted, tilting his head. "You can't think like that. You just spoke your truth and showed everyone your talent. You've got this. It's not about perfection, it's about being real." Melissa took a breath, grateful for his support. He believed in her, and yet doubts still nagged in her mind. "You're right. I guess I never expected to feel this vulnerable." "Vulnerable can be powerful," he said, his expression softening. "It connects us all. In 3 days you're going to have your art showcased, and people will see you for who you are. Take that step, and it's going to be amazing." "Yeah, but the stakes feel so high." She sighed. "What if no one likes it? What if—" He shook his head, cutting her off again. "What if they love it? Prepare for that, instead. Imagine sharing your story over a glass of wine with someone who is totally inspired by your piece. That's what this is about." As they talked, the remnants of applause still echoed in Melissa's ears, mingling with thoughts of the upcoming gallery, her emotions a complicated weave of dread and hope. Suddenly, a familiar face broke her reverie. It was Josie, an old college friend, and she rushed over, clearly ecstatic. "Melissa! I can't believe it! You were incredible! I've been following your journey, and I'm so proud of you!" Josie's excitement brought a warmth to Melissa's heart. They hugged tightly, and Melissa could feel some of her fears slipping away, replaced by genuine joy. "Have you seen the gallery space yet? It's stunning! I can't even imagine how your art will transform it." Melissa's heart raced at the thought. "I haven't yet. I've been so focused on getting through today's speech. Let us go check it out tomorrow," Josie suggested. "You need to see where your pieces will live. This is about claiming your rightful place in the art world, Melissa." The wheels in Melissa's mind started turning. The excitement in Josie's voice reignited a flicker of enthusiasm. Perhaps seeing the space would help her visualize her future. "Yeah, I think I would like that," Melissa said, her voice stronger now. But the uncertainty was still there, lingering in her gut. As the night wore on, she chatted with Victor and Josie, mixing laughter with serious plans. But somewhere in the back of her mind, the shadows of doubt loomed large. Could she really embrace her new identity, or would those doubts drag her back into obscurity? 3 days. Just 3 days until the gallery exhibit. The pressure was mounting. As she lay in bed that night, the ceiling above felt as vast and uncertain as her future. Would she rise to the challenge, or would this leap haunt her dreams? And then the thought slammed into her: what if this journey opened doors she never expected? What if there was a life waiting for her just beyond those gallery walls? She drifted off to sleep with questions dancing in her mind, unsure of their answers, but eager to find out. What awaited her on the other side of the exhibition? Melissa woke the next day with a sense of urgency that pulsated through her veins. It was the day she would visit the gallery. As she prepared for the trip, anticipation danced with anxiety in her chest. Her mind flitted between images of her art hanging on pristine white walls and the possibility of it all crashing down around her. Today is about clarity, she told herself, looking in the mirror. Her reflection looked back with wide, hopeful eyes, any remnants of yesterday's doubts buried beneath a new resolve. She picked out a simple outfit, something that wouldn't distract from her art, and stepped out into the crisp morning air. Meeting Josie always brought a ray of sunshine, and today was no different. They met at a quaint coffee shop, where the scent of fresh brews mingled with sweet pastries. Josie's excitement was contagious, her enthusiasm emanating as she laced her fingers around a steaming cup. Ready to own it? She beamed, eyes sparkling. Melissa chuckled, a hint of nervousness threading through her laughter. Let us see if I can find courage in this cup of coffee. The gallery was just a short walk away. As they crossed the street, Melissa felt a thrilling chill run down her spine. The building loomed ahead, a stark contrast to the soft pastel colors of her world. She had seen pictures online, but standing in front of it made everything feel real, the heavy wooden doors promising a world of possibility. Let us open the door to your future, Josie said, nudging her forward. Taking a deep breath, Melissa pushed it open. Inside, the space was bright and airy, and her heart raced at the thought of her work being showcased here. The high ceilings seemed to stretch endlessly, giving an almost palpable sense of freedom. As they stepped in, Melissa was overwhelmed with a mix of anxiety and excitement. It felt like stepping into the unknown. Come on, let us explore, Josie urged, pulling her along. They wandered through the empty rooms adorned with white walls, the silence echoing their footsteps. Visualizing the art alongside her made her pulse quicken. I can see it, my pieces hanging here, where people can appreciate them, she murmured, a smile breaking through her anxious facade. It will be magical, Melissa. Your art will have a voice, Josie said, nodding fervently. Suddenly, Melissa's thoughts darkened. What if it doesn't resonate? What if they don't get me? She stopped, vulnerability creeping back. She instantly felt she had interrupted the beauty of the moment. Stop right there, Josie said, her tone firm yet encouraging. This isn't about them. This is your journey. You're meant to share your story, and if it touches just one person, that's worth everything. Melissa took a deep breath, letting Josie's words settle in her heart. You're right. I need to believe in myself. I need to embrace who I am and what I create. Their exploration continued, and Melissa began to paint her dreams in her mind, imagining the reactions of future visitors. The thrill of excitement pushed out doubts, if only for a moment. She could see herself guiding people through the space, sharing the meaning behind each brushstroke, each color telling its own story. Just then, a sudden crash echoed from the back of the gallery as a staff member adjusted a large installation. Both girls jumped, their moment of bliss interrupted. Melissa felt a knot of anxiety tighten within her again. What if that crash was a sign of disaster? Josie laughed, shaking her head. Perfect timing, huh? But listen, that's life. It's not all elegance and calm. There will be bumps, and that's okay. You've got this. Blood pounding in her ears, Melissa nodded slowly. Perhaps the unearthed vulnerabilities were side effects of transformation, necessary to grow. What I'm most scared of is not being ready, she confessed, looking down at her hands. Which is why today matters. You'll see this gallery, and the space is just the beginning. After all, the only way to be truly ready is to dive in. Josie's spirit radiated, her belief in Melissa pushing her forward. As they left, Melissa felt lighter. But as soon as the door closed behind her, the weight of reality lumbered back, heavy like a curtain threatening to fall. It was only 3 days. 3 days until everything could change. Could she truly step forward, into the spotlight she had long avoided? Or would her fears hold her back? In that moment, a new resolve sparked inside her. Just like starting a painting, she would embrace the blank canvas ahead. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows, one thought loomed large: what if the pressure to succeed became too much? The path was uncertain, and Melissa could feel the clock ticking toward her exhibit. What if the world didn't find her art worthy? The question hung in the air, heavy and unresolved, leaving a chill that would linger until the gallery doors opened. 3 days felt more like 3 lifetimes as Melissa navigated the hours, each second dragging as she prepared herself for the exhibit. The world outside buzzed with life, but her thoughts swirled like autumn leaves caught in the wind. Doubt crept into every corner of her mind, ready to pounce at the slightest hint of weakness. On the penultimate day, Josie insisted on a distraction. "Let us go to that new art festival downtown," she suggested over lunch. Melissa hesitated, but Josie's enthusiasm was hard to resist. Maybe being surrounded by creativity would inspire her, reel her back into the magic that art once held. They arrived to find vibrant tents lining the streets, each one spilling over with color, texture, and sound. The air buzzed with laughter, chatter, and the rhythmic beats of street performers. For the first time in days, a glimmer of excitement ignited within her. "Look at that!" Josie pointed at a massive mural being painted on a building. The artist, lost in concentration, transformed blank concrete into a dynamic explosion of colors and shapes. Melissa felt her breath catch. Whether it was the movement of the artist's brush or the sheer beauty erupting from the wall, something inside her stirred. "Can you feel it?" Josie whispered, her eyes shining like the sun. "Art is alive. It's everywhere." Melissa nodded, her heart racing. "It makes me think how much we hold back out of fear." The words spilled out before she could overthink them. She glanced away, both terrified and relieved to let the truth hang in the air. Josie squeezed her hand. "Exactly. You have to let go, Melissa. Embrace the messy parts, the fears. That's where the magic happens." Inspired, they wandered from tent to tent, absorbing everything: the striking colors, the diverse styles, the loud voices of creation. They stumbled upon a booth where local artists showcased their work. In an impulsive moment, Melissa picked up a small canvas. With each stroke, she found herself releasing pent-up emotions onto the surface, flowing with colors reminiscent of her own experiences. "See?" Josie grinned, watching her paint. "This is what it's all about, letting your emotions flow." As Melissa lost herself in the rhythm of creativity, time melted away. The worries and pressures about her upcoming exhibit faded into the background. Each brushstroke felt like a step towards liberation, a reminder that art was her voice, her story to tell. But then, like a dark cloud lurking on the horizon, the thought of her exhibit crept back in. What if the moment she unveiled her art was met with indifference? Her heart sank as insecurities clouded the joy she'd felt only moments before. Josie, sensing the shift, tilted her head. "What's wrong?" "I was just thinking about Friday," Melissa admitted, her voice trembling. "What if it flops? What if it's not good enough?" "Melissa," Josie started gently, "art can't flop. Because it's an expression of you. Some will love it, some won't, but it's still your truth. And that's powerful." Melissa met Josie's gaze, feeling a rush of gratitude. "I just want to make a mark, to feel like I belong in this world." Before Josie could respond, a commotion broke out nearby. A group of festival-goers had gathered around a performance. Curious, they moved closer. A spoken-word artist was on stage, weaving a tale of vulnerability and strength, each line resonating deeply with the audience. Melissa felt each word pierce through her, relatable and raw. The artist captured the essence of humanity's collective fears and dreams with such passion, it ignited a fire in Melissa's heart. Suddenly it clicked. Maybe it wasn't just about creating art that was visually appealing. It was about making someone feel something. As the performance ended, Melissa was buzzing with new energy. "Josie, I think I need to shift my perspective. My art isn't just for judgment. It's a piece of my soul." Josie smiled, pride radiating from her. "Exactly. It's about connection. And no matter what happens Friday, remember you're meant to be seen, Melissa." In that moment, a web of determination wove itself tightly around her heart. This exhibit could be her chance to share her truth, her passion, and her pain. But as the festival wound down and they began to leave, the familiar weight of uncertainty settled back on her shoulders. Could she really step out and reveal her innermost self so publicly? 3 days remained. The countdown was on. But there was one question looming larger than ever. What if she poured her heart into her art, and it wasn't enough? The next day arrived with a heaviness that settled in Melissa's chest. 3 days. 3 long, agonizing days before she would stand in front of strangers and reveal her work, her soul. The sun poured through her window, pushing her to rise, but it felt like a weight dragging her back down. Melissa! Are you awake? Josie's voice cut through the morning silence, bright and eager. Yeah, I'm here, Melissa mumbled, her head buried in a pillow. Get dressed. We have a lot to do before Friday. Time to embrace the chaos. Josie chirped like a cheerful bird, oblivious to her friend's inner turmoil. Taking a deep breath, Melissa climbed out of bed. Perhaps Josie was right. Maybe chaos could spark some inspiration. She changed into an old pair of jeans and a loose-fitting shirt, not caring about perfection for once. They grabbed their coffee from the cafe down the street, the rich aroma flooding Melissa's senses. She tried to let the warmth seep into her, but a chilling anxiety still gripped her. Let us go to the studio, Josie suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. We can work on your pieces together. The small studio was a hive of activity, filled with bright colors and plenty of eccentric, creative souls. As soon as they walked in, the lively atmosphere helped chase away some of Melissa's fears. Art was everywhere: painters, sculptors, and even a potter sitting at his wheel, creating something beautiful out of nothing. Hey, Melissa! I've seen your sketches. I think you're going to blow everyone away at the exhibit, a friendly voice called from across the room. It was David, one of the illustrators, whose work hung proudly on the walls. Thanks, David, Melissa replied, surprised by the compliment. She and Josie sat up in a corner, spreading out materials and sketches. As her brushes danced across canvas, doubts flared again. Each stroke became an echo of her insecurities. What if this didn't resonate with anyone? Hey, you! Josie's voice broke her concentration. Remember what we talked about. You're painting your truth, and that's enough. Melissa nodded slowly, trying to absorb Josie's words. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the canvas, determined to pour her heart into it. The paint felt like an extension of her being. Color after color, she began to feel the joy of creation, the tension of self-doubt fading momentarily. It wasn't until she noticed the time slipping away that she felt a rush of panic. Hours had flown by, and she barely noticed them. What time is it? Josie glanced at her watch. Almost 6. We should head back so you can get some rest. As they packed up, Melissa couldn't shake the urge to push harder, to create something that felt right. But doubts rekindled even as she was walking out. Could she really showcase a part of herself that was so raw and vulnerable? Back at home, the stillness was deafening. She sat on the edge of her bed, the weight of uncertainty pressing down. In her heart, she believed Josie's words that art was a connection, a conversation. But the fear of rejection gnawed at her. What if no one connected with her work? What if she stood there exposed and alone? She buried her face in her hands, feeling tears spill over. The clock ticked loudly, echoing the imminent countdown. On her desk sat a piece of her heart, the canvas, half finished. After a moment of silence, a resolve began to bubble within her. Maybe expressing what scared her could be the very thing that set her free. In that quiet, dark moment, a flicker of determination ignited. She was Melissa, but she was also an artist. With a deep breath, she picked up her paintbrush again, ready to pour her spirit onto the canvas. But as she began to paint, an unexpected text pinged on her phone. A message from an unknown number flashed across the screen. I've seen your work. You have something special. Meet me tomorrow? She felt her heart race. Who could it be? What did they want? Could this be the opportunity she never knew she needed? Melissa's heart raced at the unexpected message, her pulse pounding like a drum in her ears. Just when she thought she was about to collapse under the weight of her anxiety, a flicker of hope surged within her. With a quick breath, she typed a hesitant reply. Who is this? A response came in seconds. It's Victor. I really believe in what you're doing. Let us talk. Victor. Her mind flashed back to the art critic who had seen something precious within her. Could he be offering me more? She whispered to herself, eyes wide and hopeful. Her fingers hovered over the screen as she quickly typed back, "Sure." When and where? The response was rapid, setting a meeting time just before the exhibit. A knot of anticipation twisted in her stomach. This could be the moment everything changed. As the night wore on, the prospect of meeting Victor pushed her worries aside. She unearthed her confidence, and poured every ounce of hope and passion into her canvas. With every stroke, she felt more liberated from the fears that had dangled over her like dark clouds. The following day, Melissa barely noticed the passing hours. Time slipped away as she finished her piece, each detail woven perfectly into the larger tapestry of her story. By the time she had finished, the sun nestled low in the sky, casting a warm glow over her work. She stepped back and stared, heart swelling with a mix of pride and vulnerability. "That's it," she murmured to herself, "this is me." With determination fueling her steps, Melissa dressed carefully for her meeting with Victor. There was no room for uncertainty now. She felt like an artist ready to share not just her work but her very essence. At the cafe where they agreed to meet, the atmosphere crackled with excitement. As she walked in, she spotted Victor seated at a table, his expression warm and encouraging. "Melissa! You look fantastic. I'm so glad you could make it." He stood and embraced her, the warmth wrapping around her like a soft blanket. "Thank you, Victor. I really appreciate you wanting to meet." She settled into the chair opposite him, feeling like she was about to open a door to her dreams. "I've seen your new work," he began, the corners of his mouth lifting into a smile. "The passion you've poured into this piece is palpable. I believe it could resonate with many." Melissa's heart fluttered. "Really? I hope to touch people with my art. I want them to feel something." Victor leaned in, his eyes serious but kind. "You're already doing that, Melissa. I think your exhibit could be a breakthrough moment for you and your career." "What do you mean?" she asked, heart thudding. "Are you suggesting?" "Absolutely. I want to help you set up a showcase that highlights your journey. With your message, we can create a bigger impact. It can become a movement of sorts, a conversation to inspire others." Her heart swelled, and for the first time, she dared to dream bigger. "You'd help me do that?" "Of course," he said earnestly. "Believe me, you have a story worth telling, and the world needs to hear it." As they discussed details, Melissa felt lighter, as if the heaviness that had clung to her for years was finally lifting. This meeting wasn't just about her art. It was about her stepping into the identity she'd always longed for. Victor's faith in her ignited a fire in her heart, and by the time they finished, she felt a bubbling excitement. This was only the beginning. The next day arrived, and with it, the exhibit. Everything felt electric. She arrived early to set up, her heart a symphony of emotions. As the gallery filled with people, she found herself standing amidst the crowd watching them engage with her art. The paint splashes, wild colors, each story reflected on the canvas shone vibrantly. People began to gather, their whispers buzzing like bees, connecting with her pieces as she'd hoped. Melissa felt a mix of anticipation and dread as she sought out her father's familiar face among the crowd. Just then, he walked in, hesitating at the entrance. Their eyes met, and the world around her faded. Would he support her dream? Would he see her worth? Taking a deep breath, Melissa stepped forward, heart pounding. "Dad! Over here!" His gaze softened as he moved closer. Every heartbeat felt like a drumroll, building up to this moment. He started, his expression unreadable. Melissa focused all her energy on showing him what she had created, the journey she had taken toward owning her identity. As she guided him through the exhibit, sharing her stories, she noticed subtle changes in his expression. A flicker of pride began to illuminate his features, a connection forming between them that felt newly forged. "This piece," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "I can see so much of you in this. Exactly, Dad, she replied, grasping his hand. I finally feel like I'm being true to who I am. I want to share that, show everyone that every part of our journey is important. He nodded, tears shimmering in his eyes as realization washed over him. I'm proud of you, Melissa. I may not understand everything, but I see you now. I see how important this is. In that instant, chains of fear shattered between them, and Melissa felt a rush of freedom. The crowd cheered, amplifying the moment, bringing her father to fully embrace her. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging. As the exhibit continued, she basked in the joy of connection, both with her art and her family. Days later, with the gallery's success echoing through the community, Victor called again. We're moving forward with the showcase, he announced. Let us turn your dreams into reality. Every fear she once held crumbled away, replaced by the understanding of her worth not just as an artist but as a human being. The journey was far from over, but it was her journey now, one filled with promise and an undeniable magic. Finally embracing the artist within her, Melissa looked up at the canvas of her life, the strokes still forming, each day an opportunity to paint her dream brightly. And in that moment of realization, she smiled, knowing she was ready for whatever came next. Don't miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you can embark on this journey with us. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and let us reach more incredible souls. Your voice matters. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It could light the spark they need. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.